I just want to make this video to sum up the facts that we know about the Dallas police shooting. Number one fact is, it was absolutely racially motivated. The attacker said, in his own words, "I'm upset with white people. I want to kill white people, especially white police officers." That's his words. You can fact check that. It's what he said. It was racially motivated. Second fact, Obama touched on this again with these high-powered weapons. Okay, I'm not going to argue the point that the rifle used was high-powered. I am going to argue the point that it was not an assault rifle. Not even close. Not even a modern, what you would consider a modern rifle like the ones used in Orlando. The weapon used here was an SKS. It was built in 1945 in Soviet Russia to be used by their military. It does not have a pistol grip, it does not have a forward grip, it does not have a high capacity magazine. In fact, it has a fixed magazine which only holds 10 rounds. Is it high powered? Yes, because it's capable of taking down large game like deer. Because it is primarily used for target practice and hunting. It is no longer used by any military force that we know of. In fact, it is the predecessor to what people may call a scary rifle, which is the AK-47. This was the predecessor to that, which the Germans no longer adopted after World War II. They just didn't use it. I'm sorry, not Germans, Russians did not use it any longer after the AK-47 came out. So this is in no way, shape, or form an assault rifle. That is a fact. You can check it. You can look it up. That's the exact gun that was used. We can't just keep going on talking about these scary weapons and all this good jazz, because it's not what was used. Also, the only documented legal concealed carry person at that protest was open carrying an AR-15, this big scary rifle that everyone keeps talking about, the AR-15. He open carried it. Police did nothing because they knew that he had a concealed carry permit and he was following every single Texas statute and was allowed to open carry that during the protest. When the firing started, he gave his weapon to a police officer and then asked what he and his brother could do to help. He surrendered his weapon to a police officer that he was there peacefully protesting against police brutality, not against police in general, but just police brutality. He surrendered that weapon to a police officer and then offered his help. That is exactly what legal concealed carry owners should do. Now, I would argue the point that if he felt like he was skilled enough with it, that certainly that would be justifiable if he took action and fired back against the attacker, but he didn't. He went about it in a way that nobody could call him out and say you did something wrong. He surrendered his weapon to the police officer in order to help him, and then asked what more he could do to help. If you want a picture of what legal gun ownership and concealed carry is like inside the United States, let's take a look at that example. Because without that man surrendering his weapon, and without more like him that should have been there and been armed and ready for something like that, who knows, that police officer might have been the sixth one that died. We can't say that for sure. What we're saying is we want to take that man's AR-15 rifle, if you're a Democrat, because it's scary and there's never a need to have it. He just proved that there was a need to have that weapon right then and there. There was a need for that weapon. So you can't throw this blanket over it and say, oh, there's no need that anyone would have this weapon. Well, he just proved it. And you have no irrefutable evidence to say that he didn't need it, or that anyone that owns an AR-15 doesn't need it. This is just a very unsettling and scary time to be a United States citizen. It really is. And what we have to do is get down to the point of being able to say, okay, you know what? Maybe you do need that weapon. If that helps you protect your family and other people, because again, this man wasn't protecting anyone except for the mass public around him and the police officer. That's who he was protecting. And I think those are some logical things that we can take away from this. And we can debunk these myths about these, these weapons that people keep saying are perpetuating gun culture and all these mass shootings. This is a classic example of how a legal gun owner was able to help a police officer in their time of need. Had he not been there, who knows what might have happened. Had it not been racially motivated and brought on by this public and political bias against police officers and all this racism talk that's going on right now, this may have never happened. I'm blaming our federal government and politicians in general for perpetuating this and not stepping forward and saying, you know what? This is just madness. We just keep going on talking about it over and over and over, and no solution is ever found. We can't blame all cops and say they're just out targeting young black men and killing them, because then that paints a target on the cops' back. And you have what you had last night, and then again twice today. It doesn't solve anything. And it doesn't solve anything for our college campuses to just continue saying you're privileged because you're white. It's not doing anything but dividing us. What we need to do is stop and say, every single one of us are children of God, created in the image of God. And that America is a melting pot of all different people from different nations and different backgrounds. But one thing that we can hold dearly as citizens is that we are all inherently American. And be able to have these talks and say, why is this going on? Why is racism, if you believe it's really still such an issue, why is it? Like, what can we do to solve this? That's where we need to start. God bless you and have a great night.